So good morning and good afternoon to all our participants from Asia. Thank you all for joining us during this 8th webinar of the Global Future Project, focusing on the importance of food waste reduction in the supply chain and valorizing side streams like brewer-spent grain. So first, let me introduce myself. My name is Tjarne Ellebroek and I'm a project manager at Food Valley NL. Food Valley NL is an organization based in the Netherlands, Wageningen, and we aim to accelerate the transition towards a more sustainable food system that also produces healthy, tasty and affordable foods for everyone. And I'm here together with my colleague Darja Kukovic, a project manager at ITC, the IT cluster in Slovenia. And together we will moderate this session today. So aside from us, who is in the audience? So for today's session, we have over 280 participants registered. And these participants are from from 36 countries worldwide. Approximately 80 of them are participants from Asia, but there are also quite a lot from Europe, about 190, and some from other regions worldwide. And from which type of organizations are these participants? Well, as you could imagine, most of them are small and medium enterprises, about 35%, but there are also a lot of corporates and universities and knowledge institutes present here today. And in addition to that, also some support organizations, clusters, and other governmental associations, other governmental organizations or associations. So let me briefly explain you a bit about the Global Future Project. The Global Future Project is a European project, which was initiated by 7 European clusters. And the aim of this project is to boost the sustainable transition of the food system by innovation and collaboration between European SMEs on one hand and Asian partners. And in Asia, this project specifically focuses on 4 target countries, which are Japan, South Korea, Singapore, and Thailand. And in order to make this project a real success, we collaborate closely with our project partners in Asia as well, which are, for example, Enterprise Singapore, Food Polis in South Korea, Food Innopolis from Thailand, the Thailand Management Association, Kobe University, and NARO, the National Agriculture Research Organization in Japan. So throughout the year, we organize different types of activities. So for example, online training sessions for European SMEs, but also one-on-one matchmaking via the Global Future community platform. And we organize 2 international missions. Additionally, of course, we organize these thematic workshops. And today we will focus on the theme Solutions to Reduce Food Waste. So what is on the program today? We have a very full program ahead of us with some expert speakers, both to introduce the topic of valorizing side streams and also reduction of food waste, and also a lot of company presentations that provide a solution to these topics. And we will round off this session around 11, and after that you have the opportunity to have your one-on-one matchmaking meetings via the Global Future community platform. If you have any questions today during the session for one of our speakers or more practically, please raise them in the chat box in Zoom, and then I will bring them forward in the live stream. And if you ask a question, please also state your company name to provide some bit of background about this question. Okay, then let's continue with the first speaker of today. I would like to introduce to you my colleague Jolijn Zwart van Kessel, who is our Innovation Lead Circular Agri-Food. And she will explain more about the opportunities in side stream valorization, also the challenges that are there, and the upcycling community. So please, Jolijn, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much, Tjarne, and welcome to all of you. Let me first share my screen with you. One sec. Well, good morning to you all. I hope you can all see my screen. And welcome to this session about valorizing side streams. My name is Jolijn Zwart van Kessel, and I'm the innovation lead at Food Valley NL, working on the food transition. So we work on the questions of why we need change. Well, of course, you all know that it takes quite a lot of energy and work to produce food. And when we have produced it, we need to source this very, very securely, because it's very important that we use everything that we have produced, because it costs a lot of energy to make it. I know this by heart because I work at Food Valley NL as an innovation lead, circular agri-food, but I also have a farm at home. So I know how much work it costs to make our food. So if we have make these virgin materials, raw materials for food, then we should not waste it. And we all know that about 1/3 of everything that we produce is now being lost or wasted somewhere along the value chain. So this is my inspiration in working on this food transition at Food Valley NL. So what do we do at Circular Agri-Food with Food Valley NL? We work on regenerative sourcing. We also work on the topic as insects as upcyclers, and also work on upcycling of side streams. And this is the topic that I will talk about today. We do that within Food Valley via starting and empowering collaborations, but we also work on certain barriers in valorizing upcycling together. And we do that via this community we call an upcycling community. This is one of our Food Valley communities. We have some more. And we work together on overcoming barriers that we feel are important for all the partners that we are working with, because all partners cannot do it on their own. And topics that we're working on, for instance, are how can we make sure that we get the right insights and conditions to get circular products in the shelves? How can we create awareness about that towards consumer, but also towards business to business? Furthermore, a topic is bridging food innovators. So how can we create right conditions to make sure that product developers or food tech developers can find each other also with replacing virgin ingredients to make sure that all food losses get optimized as much as possible. And the last one is that we work on topics like fact-based decision-making. So if you have a side stream, what is the best way for valorizing this? So in this community, we have quite a lot of partners. You can see that this is a wide spread of fruit producers, technology providers all over the world, actually, but a lot of based in Europe, but also quite some in Asia. Here you can see the logos. This will be shared with you, so you can read that a little bit later if you want to. So what did we find in the results that we already have accomplished with this community? Well, first of all, we talked about what are the barriers within upcycling. And we saw that quite a lot of partners are coping with uncertainty. So what is the way moving forward with your side stream? What can you do with it? But also, how would the consumer think about eating products where there are side streams or waste streams in there? So what are the ethical considerations to take into account when you're trying to upcycle side streams? And of course, that consumer perception is quite important to make sure that we get skill in there. We also worked on a meeting where we combined our protein community, our Food Valley protein community, with our upcycling community partners, and we challenged them in how could you make sure that you have plant protein side streams that you can upcycle, but also make sure that you have new applications for plant proteins via upcycled ingredients. So how can you make sure that you don't only use virgin raw materials for this? So we still hope that there will be some, this was a few months ago, that there will be new applications coming to the market quite soon. Then we organized this upcycling to the consumer webinar because our topics that we feel are quite important is how can we make sure that the market develops on this. And we also raised the question in what would be the potential of certification in trying to push this forward. And we organized this together with the Upcycled Food Association, and Innova Market Insights was a speaker, and also the Ellen MacArthur Foundation were there. We have a recap also of that video available on our website if you're interested. Furthermore, we also work on a current challenge on the side stream of the horticulture, specifically on tomato leaves. And the question is, can we find partners to scale up the upcycling of this side stream? And within this month, actually, the prize-based challenge will deliver a winner. So these are exciting times ahead, upcoming weeks. So if you're interested, please follow our Food Valley Insights meeting on May 23rd. This is an open meeting, so you can all register via our website. This one I will skip because I also would like to talk to you about a little bit more about brew-spent grain. Brew-spent grain is one of the side streams which is worldwide huge. And this is why Food Valley already a year ago decided to organize a webinar on this. We did some desk research and saw that there are many initiatives worldwide working on this, varying from Asia until the USA, and also in Europe. And we see quite some movement on this domain, even though there's not a market yet available. A lot of partners, but also non-partners of Food Valley and now in our ecosystem and outside are competing already because here is the challenge. Okay, who's going to start with these innovations and who can win markets for this? And I'm going to share with you a small video of that webinar we organized.
Food Valley NL organized an international event about upcycling the use of brewer-spent grain.
Welcome to our event, Brewer-Spent Grain Moving Forward.
Spent grain is a waste stream that remains after beer is brewed.
The produce of brewer-spent grain, it's about 46 million megaton.
It's mostly used for animal feed or even thrown away. But spent grain is very tasty and healthy, which makes it perfect for human consumption. Upcycling BSG also contributes to a circular economy.
And which one has the highest effect on Moorman's Ladder, where we focus on reducing food waste and high valorization of materials.
That's why Food Valley NL is committed to upcycling this waste stream for human consumption.
So today on the table also Bo Swinkels from Swinkels Family Breweries.
We would like to test the market. So do people understand what brewer-spent grain is?
It's very true that we need to restructure the value chains that currently exist.
Speakers from all over the world shared their knowledge.
Thank you very much for inviting me.
Hey, thank you so much for having me here.
Over 160 organizations attended the event. Through a matching tool provided by Food Valley, these organizations were able to connect with each other to explore future collaborations on spent grain. From barley farmer and beer brewer to research and development, many producers, retail and government, organizations connected with each other to fasten the transition of spent grain together.
So thank you all for joining us today, and let's shape the future of food together.
The transition continues with our upcycling community. Upcycling BSG requires different value chains that must work together, making the transition too complex and difficult to tackle alone. With our community, you can partner up on your ideas and find unlikely partners. You'll find cross-sectoral organizations, community sessions, latest trends and insights, support and engagement through our digital platform. Become part of our upcycling community. Food Valley.
Okay, thank you very much. I hope this was very inspirational. I'm going to elaborate a little bit more and take you through this as brewer-spent grain. You saw this already in the video as well. because there's quite some research already done on brew-spent grain. And you can see that brew-spent grain on the left has still quite some interesting ingredients that we can put to use for food, and not only to put to use for feed. And you can see what the possible ways of using it is in this slide. And we aim to use this towards food. So I would also like to share with you the startup. They were a startup also joining our webinar last year, and they have a great perspective, I think, on what they are making. And I'm going to share that with you.
Maggie Creations loves barley from head to toe and upcycles beer grain into a healthy and sustainable food ingredient, power flour. Suitable for many food applications, power flour enriches bread, pastry, meat substitutes, and many more products with its nutritious fibers and powerful proteins. Nice job, barley.
We also, and you can see that they are using the barley and drying it, but we also see examples where partners use other ways. For instance, they refine the proteins and then use that for meat replacers or for shakes. And I will share with you some examples of this in a minute. One of the things that we also organized is, can we have more solutions up in the market and get them scaled for brew-spent grain? And we got quite some organizations connecting with us on this via this challenge that we organized last year. Then we will talk, we will see them later on. There's this a nice option also from Switzerland, the circular food solutions. So I will not dive into this, but this is also quite an interesting option. Then there's a partner that works called Grain. They're from Denmark, and they have quite some interesting things made for pastas. They have chips, granolas, also the flour. There you see that this is the fermented also flour. So that's also a different way of working with the brew-spent grain from France. Well, that gives you, I hope, some inspiration of what you can do with this brew-spent grain and with these side streams. And one of the things that we discovered is that what you see is that partners should find other partners from a different value chain. So the beer brewers will have to step out of their own value chain to make sure that they can valorize this brew-spent grain. And to do so, you need to find other partners, right? So I would like to round up with sharing with you one of the platforms that we have at Food Valley, besides becoming partner or becoming partner in our upcycling community, but we also have Food Leap. And Food Leap is very accessible for every partner all over the world. It's free of use, and you can find a lot of partners there to partner up with technology providers, also shared facilities. You can find a lot of data and information on agri-food and all the sectors and innovation fields that Food Valley NL is working on. You can also, if you are a community partner, share within a closed community all kinds of information or questions of things that you are looking for, and maybe also share some business opportunities. So I would like to invite you to create a free account and link your organization to this platform. You can find it on www.foodleap.com. Then at last, I would like to round up introducing my colleagues. If you have any questions on what we do within the upcycling community or anything about brew-spent grain, please connect to us. Thomas van der Lee, our project manager, and Caroline Duivenvoorde, our program manager, Circular Agri-Food, are also in this meeting today, but you can also reach them via these contact details. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Jolijn, for these wonderful insights. I think we don't have any questions at the moment, and I would like to quickly continue with our next speaker on the agenda, who is from the company called Elozymes, Deepak Raghotaman, the Director and Business Development Manager. And Elozymes is a company from Singapore, and they're actually a deep technology company using enzymes to produce food ingredients out of upcycled side streams. So I'm very interested to hear more about that. So Deepak, can you share us your story about Elozymes?
Thank you, everyone. Good day, wherever you're connecting from. Firstly, thank you for this opportunity, Food Valley and the upcycling community. We're quite excited to be part of the global community and bring some technologies to the community that is together with us today. So I would like to share my screen. We are Elozymes. We are a Singapore-based startup, and we are powering sustainable food solutions with the power of custom enzymes. So our mission is to design and develop diverse custom enzymes for different applications, such as high-value food ingredients. So what is unique about our company is we have a proprietary technology, which is globally unique, which allows us to really accelerate the enzyme engineering approach, which is 1000x faster, 200x more reliable, and 10x cost-effective as well, while we are also able to engineer enzymes using genetically modified and non-genetically modified approaches, which definitely caters the needs of diverse customers and markets. As a business, we operate on two different models. One is a service model where we bring to bear the technology for engineering different enzymes and support different clients and partners who may have needs in industrial process, products, or enzymatics, and we build a better enzyme for them. Also, we are working with large businesses where we co-develop new fermentation solutions for them, either using enzymes or microorganisms to create more high-value compounds or ingredients. And here we take more an IP-driven approach with licensing and commercialization. So to come back to the focus of the discussion today, we're all aware of the challenge we have globally with agri-stream that is perhaps not valorized in the right ways. And for example, we know that there's a very high number of agri-waste, for example, close to 1,000 metric tons, at least that is collected in the farms. So as a company that is very conscious with a sustainable mission at its core, we wanted to do something about this problem and try to build a solution to create value while being sustainable. So we applied for a research grant here in Singapore and were successful in obtaining it from the Temasek Foundation, where we are now working on a unique enzyme, which we like to call Hero Enzyme, where this Hero Enzyme can upcycle agri-food stream into a higher value, sustainably sourced, but also healthier ingredient. So our mission is to create a high-value fiber ingredient that can be potentially a replacer or a complement to different sugar replacement strategies, which has a much lower glycemic index and lower calories. And we believe this really enables and promotes a circular bioeconomy by adapting the enzyme and applying it for different feedstock. Even, for example, the barley use case that Yolene shared is quite interesting in this regard. So we are keen to explore different applications using different side streams. So we just listed some namesake examples where we know a lot of industrial waste or agricultural waste is created. And we know that typically either the farmers try to use it as animal feed, or in some parts of the developing world, they may even burn the fields to clear it. And this creates a lot of greenhouse gas emissions. So as a technology developer, we are keen to bring to bear this technology of unique enzymes and use that to upcycle the side stream into a healthier ingredient. And by doing so, we want to prevent both the waste that is created at the farm level, but also from the R&D point of view. Our approach for enzyme engineering is already sustainable. We use much less plastic waste and we create less waste in the process. So our technology approach and the solution both can lead to significant reduction of carbon emissions globally if the technology can be applied and scaled with different partners through the community. So this is how we envision being a role in this large community, where as a technology developer, we'd like to collaborate and partner with upstream players who have access to feedstock and agricultural produce, where we would like to either apply the enzyme I was mentioning early on or build other enzymatic solutions to build a healthier ingredient. And of course, we need scale up and distribution partners once we build these fibered ingredients to then bring the ingredient to the consumer eventually for both a healthier and sustainable solution. So we're really excited today to have this opportunity to present this with all of you. And we'd be very keen to connect with any one of you who would like to partner with us in our journey to upcycle waste and create a more sustainable and healthier world together. So feel free to take a snapshot of these QR codes, and you can read more about our company, the technology, and also the other areas that we are working on. And with that, I'd like to thank the organizers and look forward to the discussion.
Yes, thank you very much, Deepak, for sharing your story, and also great to hear that you're looking for a new type of collaboration. So hopefully there will be some potential partners here in the audience listening. I don't see any questions at the moment, so let me continue with our next speaker of today, which is Carsten Petry, the CEO of Circular Food Solutions. Circular Food Solutions is a company from Switzerland, and Carsten will explain how Circular Food Solutions produces plant-based meat from upcycled side streams. So please, Carsten, go ahead.
Yeah, thank you, Diana. Let me quickly share my screen.
Yes, perfect, thanks.
Very good. Well, thank you also from my side for the invitation, and also congratulations to Food Valley NL for everything you're doing, for bringing the community together and creating such a platform. I think it really helps to push our topic of using upcycled side streams and reduce food waste together. So as you already mentioned, we are Circular Food Solutions. We are a Swiss-based company, and we are focusing on developing technologies for upcycling of brewer spent grain, but also of other side streams, and also then already creating solutions to make finished products out of it for the consumer market. Let me go into detail a bit more. First of all, who are we? So we are a two-person company at the moment. Myself and my colleague Friedrich Witschi, who's responsible for the business development. We span out of Bühler, a Swiss company producing technology and solutions for the food industry mainly. Here we had this idea, and we also count with the great support of technologists here who help us then to create the best solutions, the most efficient solutions for the upcycling and also for the creation of end products. And when Circular Food Solutions was founded about 3 years ago, we had a clear idea. We wanted to create a technology for upcycling and valorizing of food waste, which has to be efficient and easy to apply, and also able, which allows then the production of healthy and truly sustainable food products out of these upcycled side streams. So the idea is really to look into different side streams of the food production, and we started with brewer spent grain. So as you can see here on this little picture on the right-hand side, so we take the side stream of the brewing process, and we try to find ways how to make something more interesting out of it for the human consumption. Maybe I go back a bit to the beginning when we started. So we of course looked also at the global challenges, which were then motivating us to do this. And I think most of you are very aware of these points. So we need to work more smartly with the scarce resources that we have on the planet. We need to find solutions to feed 10 billion people on the planet, but there are also supply chain challenges for producers of food. So heavily increasing raw material prices and this famous protein gap that we see on the market. So that is also then a motivation to create new products. And when we started, we also looked into creating different types of products, not only meat alternatives. Like, for example, we focus a lot on sugar reduction at the beginning, or making biscuits or bread out of it. But then we decided, let's focus, let's make a first really working process solution and build a plant and show that this can work with a product that should have big success in the market and the big potential. And that's why we came up with the idea of making plant-based meat alternatives out of brewer spent grain. So when you look at the title, byproduct, it of course does not mean we don't want byproduct. It's the other way around. We want to say bye-bye to not using the byproduct. So we've developed a solution, actually two solutions that allow us to work with spent grain and make something interesting out of it for human nutrition. Let me explain quickly the slide. So we developed a solution which takes the spent grain, and I think most of you know about this, that we get about 20 kilos of fresh spent grain with a production of 100 liters of beer. It is nutritional-wise very interesting, and also on the volume that are existing, a very interesting raw material. So that was also the reason why we focused on this type of side stream, and we developed a technology which allows us to upcycle the fresh spent grain, stabilize it, and then work directly with this fresh type of spent grain and create a meat alternative out of it. So we have an upcycling part in the production plant, and then directly at the same production plant, an extrusion plant, and also downstream equipment, which allows us then to create a product which is then practically already ready for the consumer market. The advantages of doing this at a brewery is, of course, that we skip a drying process. We can make sure that the fresh spent grain can be used after a few hours without any hassle of food safety issues. So we make sure that this stays safe until it's then extruded. And of course, this is an attractive solution especially for breweries who want to make something different and more valuable out of their side stream. The meat alternatives which we can then create out of the spent grain, they are really good. So, and that's not what I'm saying. It's what already retailers and food producers here in Switzerland told us, because they already signed offtake contracts for this type of product. So first of all, these type of meat alternatives tick the most important fields when you talk about meat alternatives. So great taste, the texture is fantastic, and we can work with a clean label. So our products have mainly spent grain. So main ingredient is the brewer spent grain, the upcycled spent grain. We need a second protein source to get the right texture. Can be soy, can be pea, can be wheat gluten or anything else. And that way we get a very clean labeled product. Then this is of course attractive because here we're working with a new protein source and not the typical soy or pea product you see normally in the market, but it's a different protein source with a high fiber content. So we can claim a high in fiber, and as most of you might know, high in fiber claim is very important. And that's where we come then to the next point. We can then really show it's a healthy product. It can help to increase the Nutri-Score category of final product because of the fibers, but also because of the vitamins and micronutrients we can find in spent grain. And then what I think is another very important point is that the spent grain is then locally sourced. So as mentioned before, we have a first plant or first customer here in Switzerland who is building a plant. He takes malt from Switzerland, and then it is then brewed in Switzerland. So the main ingredient of this product is locally sourced. So we can then really show and say this is a locally sourced product, and we don't need to get the ingredients from far away. So those are the key benefits of a meat alternative made spent grain. This product that is then produced with our technology looks a bit like this. So obviously it's a bit darker than chicken meat, for example, but the taste is really great, mainly because of this a bit cereal note of the spent grain, which gives a more pleasant taste than you have with other ingredients normally. And we have then the opportunity or possibility to create different types of products. So we can have these strips types of product. We can make mincemeat or bacon cubes, things like this, kebab style, and so on. So this type of products can then be further produced to a finished product, like a burger or whatever we point out here. So we think this is really something different and interesting to the market. And as I said, for us, the focus was always from the beginning to develop something that is relatively easy to install, and where a market is already there. I mean, for the meat alternatives, we already see that there's a market generally for meat alternatives, and here we can come up with an interesting new type of product. So this is why we then really focus on developing something that can be easily installed and brought to the market. Here are some pictures of our first customers in Switzerland. It's a brewery where we install it in Switzerland, and we hope then that still this year the first products will be in the shelves of supermarkets. Now, we of course would like to bring these solutions also to other markets, and that's why we're really interested in being part of Food Valley and collaborating with other partners. Now, our business idea is to support in the production of meat alternatives made mainly with spent grains. That means so we have IP, and we have, of course, a lot of recipes, product ideas. So we support there in the creation of the market and the products. And we're interested in working together with a company that has either access to spent grain, as I said, ideally wet spent grain, but we can also work with dry spent grain, or a company that thinks this is a cool and great product for my product portfolio in the field of meat alternatives. I want to have this. So then we're also interested in cooperating and setting up a business or production model for the market. Or if somebody has a production facility for further processing meat alternatives and making end products out of it, also that type of partners and Food Valley are quite interesting for us. So I hope this is something you find interesting, and we're of course also present at different exhibitions in the next month. For example, at the Dill exhibition in Germany, where it will then also be possible to do a tasting of our products, and it would be great to meet you there, or maybe at the Food Valley Center in Aachen again. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Karsten. Wonderful to hear also about the production of these plant-based meat alternatives with a high nutritional value. I think that's also very important for these type of products to pay attention to that. So thank you very much for sharing your story. I don't see any questions in the chat at the moment, so we will continue with our next speaker, Maximilian Webers. He is the founder and CEO of Colipi, which is a German biotechnology company that develops, scales, and implements two technologies to upcycle side streams. Great to see you, and please, the floor is yours.
Yes, Tiana, team, thank you very much for the warm welcome. Also, greetings to the dear guests. I've seen guests from Embassy of Denmark and Beijing and others. It's really an honor to speak here in front of you. Long story short, screen will be shared right now. And then I will introduce you to the two distinct technology and one very revolutionary technology that we patented and currently scaling. Well, and one sentence says it all. We turn CO2 to palm oil alternatives. We have, 220 million tons of vegetable oil is needed every year. It will be increasing, and rainforests in Thailand, Indonesia, Malaysia, and Brazil are transformed to oil crops. Can be soybean oil, can be palm oil, can be other oils. Now, plants are very inefficient sunlight to oil or sunlight to product conversion machines. Well, we love them. We have worked with them for 10,000 of years, but they're not as good as photovoltaic machines, for example. And here comes the trick. We develop a process that is much more space and energy efficient in producing what we need, in producing oils, than plants are. We started developing a bioreactor. This is just a simple picture. The reality looks much more complex, but really, we really build a house. And inside of this house, there's bacteria, and it's special bacteria. It's not any bacteria. It's a bacteria that no other company in the world is using, to our knowledge. And it's the fastest CO2 fixing organism in the world. Faster than algae, faster than plants, faster than archaea bacteria, faster than anything out there. It's 100 times more efficient than plants and produces 10 times less CO2. Or in fact, it really is a CO2 sink. Now we get a deep dive. How does it work? We take a CO2 from a point source, CO2 from a point source. And this is why I indicated logos here around, which is Thai companies that produce CO2. It could be a classic oil and gas company. It could be a company that is producing cement, concrete, okay? It could be a coal company, an energy producer, and chemical companies. Wherever there is enough CO2 coming out, this is what we will absorb. Then the CO2 off gas is together with oxygen and hydrogen piped into bacteria. You can see it on this microscopy image already. The bacteria is forming products intracellular. You see the white dots. And all that there is left to do is harvesting, opening the cells and extracting the oil. The oil will have cradle to gate. So if we sell it B2B to you, the oil is carbon negative. And if it's a cradle to grave approach, like really end of life, it's 0 to 0.3 kilograms CO2 equivalent per kilogram of oil. And this is also the biggest value proposition. I mean, the nutritional value, etc., it's just as palm oil, but much more carbon. Yeah, it's carbon neutral. So if your company happen to have net zero goals, like it's 2030 and we want to be carbon neutral, or it's 2040 and we want to be carbon neutral, and still you have to buy palm oil, you cannot reach the goals, except you want to buy offset certifications. And this is the promise that we take. The pain of others, the CO2, will be transformed to the pleasure of food companies, for example, using the oil. We did a first techno-economic analysis, and we can even sell the oil in the future for 90 cents per kilogram and produce it for less. And this is really revolutionary, because in the past decades, in 1970, 1980, everyone has worked with algae to produce oil. And then everyone started to working with yeast and algae. There's a Dutch startup working with yeast. There's a Swiss, there's everywhere yeast startups, but it's much more expensive than bacteria because they're just super fast. But a word of conscience, this is technology that takes another 5 to 10 years to scale because it's just new. What is available today, and which is also why I talk to you, is upcycling organic side streams, which could be, for example, palm oil mill effluents. Here we see sugar cane, okay? We see fatty coconut crusts and helps. This is something that our yeast, this is our second technology, our technology B, can also already today upcycle to palm oil alternatives and proteins. It has a 2 kilogram CO2 footprint per kilogram of oil, so it's better than palm oil, a little bit more than our bacterial approach, and it's still affordable, $3 or €3 per kilogram compared to 90 cents per kilogram for the bacterial oil. And here's the call to action for you. If you happen to be a food company, and maybe in Thailand there's a few, like a sugar producer with sugar cane, like a sweet producer, like Thai Union, then approach us. We can make use of your side streams. Or in other words, you do not have to pay to get it disposed, and you don't have to accept little revenues with selling it for biogas production or feedstock. We can make more of it, because in the cosmetics industry, which is our first market, we can sell our vitamin oils for up to €20 per kilogram. We have customers that signs a letter of intent and here we can make a business together. We see first prototypes. Our oil can be transformed to soap. Our oils can be transformed to vegan butter. A big big German cosmetic corporate already transformed it to skin lotion. And here we have our high valuable antioxidative facial oil. So you have sun protection. So, and here I will introduce you to a project which is already running in Europe today, a commercial project. There's one company that is producing chocolate, and most chocolate producers have batch processes. So they have to flush their chocolate production, and they have chocolate effluent. We gave this chocolate to our technology B, to our yeast fermentation, and we resulted in very great yields, great efficiency, and could produce cocoa butter equivalents or the antioxidative cosmetics oils as seen earlier. And then our idea is to share the revenue. So we will do the marketing of the oils, and will you participate, the revenue. The only deal is that you will build a bioreactor. So we cannot afford a $5 million to $10 million bioreactor plant. This will be then on your charge and will be paid back in 2 to 3 years. We have a very strong team that already met years ago. So the core of the team met in 2009 already. We continued study. We studied biotech together. Then we studied management and biotech together in Munich. In Hamburg, those 3 co-founders spent the last 5 years in doing their PhD thesis. And last year, the ex-CEO of Bayersdorf, top manager of Nestlé and Tesco, Stefan de Löker, joined the team as future chairman of the board and future investor. Well, here you can scan my Google contacts. It will be in your phone. And let's start with organic side streams. And then in 5 to 6 years, we turn CO2 to oil. Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you very much, Max, for joining us and sharing more about your technology. I think this is a great opportunity for a lot of food companies to, indeed, as you said, turn CO2 into oil. So for now, I would like to round off the first part of this session and hand the mic to my colleague Darja Kukovic, who will introduce you to the second part of today, more focusing on reduction of food waste itself.
Yes, thank you, Tierna. Hello also from my side. This thematic, reducing food waste and loss throughout the food supply chain, is very interesting because it can be an effective solution to reduce the environmental impact of agriculture, but it also can improve the income of the chain actors, as we already heard. But not only that, it can also improve food and nutrition security for low-income consumers, for instance, so the social pillar is also might also be well addressed. In the second part of today's workshop, we will discuss and present what is available on the market and how different value chains are addressing the topic of food loss and waste. My first guest is Mrs. Anna George. She's a senior program and project manager with more than 20 years of experience in different industry sectors like telecommunications, ICT, construction, transport and logistics, and space. She has a proven track record of effectively managing and delivering European Commission funded and commercial R&D projects and programs, and currently is coordinating the Zero project aiming to reduce the food loss and waste across Europe. So she will present this project right now. Anna, the floor is yours.
Okay. So thank you, everyone. It's really a big privilege to be here today. It's extremely interesting. What I will present today is not a company, it's a project, but seeing all those innovations that are already on the market, that are making money, that are not proof of concept, but real solutions that have found their place in the circular economy in Europe and Asia, it's an amazing thing. Our project is an innovation action. It is something that tries to move innovations that have been created conceived previously into a further stage of technology readiness level. So by the end of the project, we reached to prototype and market-ready solutions. So we're a little bit behind you guys, but we are catching up very quickly. And I hope that what I will present today will be interesting for all of us here on the topic of reduction and valorization of food loss and waste. So a little bit about the project. It is called Zero WS, Daria already mentioned, and it stands for Systemic Innovation towards Zero Food Waste Supply Chain. We are capturing the entire supply chain. It's a 4-year long project. We have 46 partners across Europe and Israel, a total 17 countries, and we will finish hopefully end of 2025. So what we are trying to solve with our project, while we are funded under Horizon 2020 program of the European Commission. As Jolene already mentioned, food loss and waste is a big problem. And in Europe, we waste about 20% of the total food production we produce every year. It goes to waste. And across the whole world, FAO estimated that this percentage is 30. So all this goes to waste. It's a food that is produced for humans, and it is not consumed by humans, and it is going to waste, and it is turning into the third largest greenhouse gas emitter globally. The problem has been discussed in various researches. A lot of has been thought about that, and the main contributing factors to the existence of food loss and waste, like poor forecasting and demand and supply mismatch, inadequate practices for harvesting and processing and logistics. Another one, the high cosmetic requirements from the retail industry, like banded cucumbers or spotted potatoes, for example. And also for us as consumers, our buying habits contribute to the production of this huge amount of food loss and waste globally. And underpinning those factors, one can identify the main structural and behavioral lock-in effects of the current food system, which you can see here on the picture is the iceberg under the water, not the tip of the iceberg, that is the food loss and waste generated, but what's below the water. The ugly food identification at a late stage that reduces possibility for alternative valorization, or the inability to steer the consumer behavior, the lack of food loss and waste data or fragmented food loss and waste data, the inaccurate collection, largely based on subjective assessment and varied food loss and waste definitions, because different countries, different organizations have very different definition of what falls under the category of food loss and waste. Hence, the data is not comparable. The focus on farmers and lower layers of the food loss and waste hierarchy, while we know that a huge part of these volumes are generated by the consumers. And also, on the other hand, the limited capabilities of the actors themselves to reduce the food loss and waste, especially in cases of diverse seasonal and disruption-generated food surpluses. So what we are doing about this? I already mentioned that we consider the actors, the farmers and consumers, in the center of our action, and we believe that through collaboration and innovation, they can drive positive food system transformation and lead to the reduction of food loss and waste, the unsustainable packaging as well, and respectively the corresponding decrease of greenhouse gas emissions. We in Zero W project try to apply this multi-actor systemic innovation management approach to address the locked-in effects I mentioned previously by developing and evaluating innovation across the entire food supply chain, understanding, addressing the challenges for their adoption, including their successful future commercialization. So we don't want to stop with another solution that will be on the shelf. We would like to prepare our innovations for going on the market and have successful implementation in the market, finding their customers, supporting the scale up on regional and European level, and finally identifying clear and just transition pathway towards zero food loss and waste through producing within the project recommendations for EU policy. How we are achieving that? As I mentioned, we are all about systemic innovation, and our systemic innovation approach is based on the development of a core demonstrative environment supporting 9 systemic innovation living labs, which you can see here presented on the screen, which span the entire food supply chain. Those systemic innovation living labs follow the circular economy principles of prevention, reduction, and valorization. And today I will focus my presentation only on the ones that are in the area of valorization, but you can also see on the screen that we tackle the other lock-in effects as well, because our thinking is we have to apply the systemic approach across the entire supply chain in order to have the maximum effect we are trying to achieve. And those activities, those innovation activities, they are supplemented by assessment activities to ensure the long-term environment and economic sustainability of the innovations and the just transition towards near zero food loss and waste system. And by the end of the project, what we are trying to achieve is 25% reduction of the food loss and waste in those 9 living labs that you can see. Across all of them, we're trying to reduce the quarter of the food loss and waste that is existing at the current stage as a baseline for those solutions. In midterm, looking towards 2030, we are trying through the economic modeling and through the just transition policy recommendation to achieve halving of the food loss and waste on European level, and this, for the long term to reach to near zero. Quite an ambitious target, as you can imagine, but we are working towards it, and we are very optimistic that this is achievable. Now, going directly towards the innovation, which I think will be the most interesting part for everyone. I said that I'll focus my presentation on our living labs that try to reduce food loss and waste and valorize this as or upcycle, as we already said in the previous presentation, through converting into different types of products that can participate in the circular economy. The first living lab I would like to present, and the solution is mobile food valorization as a service. This living lab investigates the potential of a mobile food processing unit to optimize the valorization of agri-food products available in regions where large volumes currently remain underutilized or used for energy generation, for example, while other opportunities exist for turning them into high added value products. To complicate this landscape, transporting such food loss and waste to processing facilities is also not very much cost efficient. So the agri-food producers are abstaining for taking this step, as it generates additional costs to them. And our systemic innovation living lab tackle these locking effects by using a mobile and very versatile processing unit with a high throughput. It is developed, by the way, through another Horizon 2020 funded project called FOX. And this unit offer what our Living Lab is doing is offering it as a service to allow this food loss and waste biomass to be turned into tasty and minimally processed juices, purees, smoothies that are already ready to drink, and to it, of course, products that can be distributed directly into the retail network, or as another stream of nutritionally attractive products that can be used further for further processing, and again to be returned back in the food market for humans. So to be returned back as a food product, not as energy biomass or food for livestock, for example. Within the project, what we'll do, we'll evaluate the different business model to find out what will underpin the commercial adoption and the upscaling of this solution, because we think it is technologically feasible, and we would like to figure out where it will be the most useful and the most valuable for the actors using it, whether it will be close to a farmer that doesn't want to pick their apples because the market price is below the cost of picking those fruits, or would it be in an auction house where a lot of food produced remain unsold by the end of the day and needs to be destroyed, or would it be in a processing facility where there are additional side products that cannot be used and have to be thrown away, and we can find a way to process them through finding the best possible recipes and tasty recipes, and turn this again into a product that can come back into the economy. Another solution that we are working on and we are very proud of is in our systemic living lab that is trying to turn the food loss and waste into a medium for production of algae. So we are trying to valorize what is thrown away by retailers and turn it into a high value added product, and basically to find alternative valorization for retail food waste. And also we are trying to establish this. Again, it's a problem on its own to understand what is this feasibility of turning this food loss and waste into alternative valorization stream. What's the business economic feasibility behind this? So as I mentioned, the focus of this Living Lab is to develop a pre-treatment solution within the food retail sector based on the process of dehydration to obtain a culture medium to support the development of microalgae cultivation. These microalgae afterwards can be used for cosmetics or sustainable packaging industry, for example. And what we are actually doing as a result, the Living Lab will produce the optimized in-store or in-warehouse pre-treatment process, select the proper container for the transportation of the outputs between the retail warehouse or store and the production microalgae production facilities, study the best logistic procedures for transportation that will have least environmental impact, and develop, of course, the most suitable process for microalgae production based on this particular medium. We are very optimistic about this solution, and we are very advanced in its development already. So watch this space. We expect good news to happen very soon, and by the end of the project to have a very high tier level of this solution. It is trialed in Portugal with our partners that you can see on the screens. Retailers on all microalgae as a producer of the algae, and University of Minho that are helping us find the right recipes for the medium and to support the production of the microalgae. And finally, the third solution that I'll be talking about, it is tackling the problem of the high cosmetic requirements of the retail industry with regards to agricultural products, or in other words, the ugly food. And we are trying to address the problem of early identification of this ugly food or non-compliance to the retail requirements, and at a very early stage, and thus reducing the possibilities for this to be turned into food loss and waste, and actually open possibilities for alternative valorization of those ugly fruits. So what we are doing here is very early after the picking up of the respective fruits, our partners have created this sorting machine that you can see on the screen, that through non-destructive analysis applied either to single fruit or very large batches of fruit, can identify 3 different streams of those damaged fruits that unfortunately cannot be further valorized, but they have to be removed very early in the process in order not to spread disease to the fruits that are still good to be used. Ugly fruits that are non-compliant to the retail requirements, thus giving opportunity to the farmers to find alternative valorization very early on for these products before they go to packaging, before they go become a food loss and waste because they're returned from the retailers, for example, and allow to ensure for themselves alternative cash stream from those products very early on in their process. And finally, perfectly good compliant products that can go directly into the retail supply chain. So we are doing that through non-destructive technology using near-infrared. We are also evaluating the organic, inorganic parameters of the fruit. So we are capable of saying these fruits will go into organic stores. These fruits do not comply with the requirements of bio-organic stores, so they can go to standard retailers, for example. And we are capable of doing that in a very large scale, for example, 300,000 fruits an hour. So it's an industrial scale solution that can be applied. The good news that it is scalable. It can be applied in all types of, for example, this one is focused on cherry tomatoes. And when we finish the project, we'll have this prototype completed, and it can be deployed in all producers of these types of fruits. But then the machine and the algorithms can be updated to be able to sort different kinds of fruits, different kinds of tomatoes, or other produce, and be scaled in this way as well. So these are our 3 living labs that are helping turning food loss and waste streams into actual products that can continue into the food supply chain for humans, and provide alternative valorization for the producers and the retailers. And we are looking forward for the real results in the end to prove our efficiency and achieve our goal, ambitious goal of reducing the food loss and waste by 25% till 2025. If you want to hear more about us, this is our website. You can find us in LinkedIn, and we'll be very happy to connect and stay in touch through our business ecosystem, where we discuss directly with you as our stakeholders what will be useful for you, how we can help, and figure out sustainable business models to implementing those solutions in the real world. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Anna. This is a very interesting presentation. Very well structured and organized project, I have to say. And I'm really happy that ITC cluster is being part of it.
Yes, that's true.
Thank you very much. Our next speaker is Mr. Marko Kozjak. He is an experienced Chief Executive Officer of VME, and he shows demonstrated history of working in fast-moving consumer goods industry and agriculture strategy. He is also a very good negotiator, marketing manager, business planner, as well as he is skilled in new product sales and market research. Finally, he is strong business development professional, graduated from University of Zagreb, Croatia. Hi, Marko. The floor is yours.
Hi, everybody. Thank you for inviting me. And I'm here to present the VME. Sustainable food supply. So VME is practically creating a sustainable food supply, and we provide three main services. First is traceability platform, of course. Second is food waste and smart logistics, and all combined is to provide a service of digital labeling for complete retail chains in Europe. At the moment, on the traceability platform, we have more than 2,000 users. And we already placed on the market more than 25,000 tons of products using QR codes. You just scan the code and you get the origin of the product and the producer behind it, location and everything else. At the moment, we saved more than 4,000 tons of food. How do we do it? Practically, we take from the central storage all of the return goods, make the first class, return it in 24 hours in the retail, and the second class we place it on the food outlets, and the third class we use as a fertilizer. As efficiency in the food waste, business and smart logistics, because we provide the transport service with the small trucks, we also managed to reduce CO2 emission by more than 5,000 tons. And this is the goal of VME, so providing three services: traceability, food waste, and reducing CO2 emission. And we see it as a circular economy. Also, to make a better move on the European market to increase organized production, because we see the losses in production mainly, we developed a VME platform that will, until the end of the 2023, be the biggest marketplace, free of use for every producer in Europe. How do we, because we had an issue with the eco producers, nobody practically wanted to use traceability because they have eco certification and everything. We decided as a company to go in production of eco products, veg eco burgers, hummus, seitan, tofu, and everything else, and we already placed it on the market. So it has a traceability code, of course, on it, and also it's a eco product. So we increased the traceability volume in 2022 and 2023 by more than 500 tons. As we can see, that we are starting the marketplace, we saw the opportunity to go in also organized production to proof of the concept. So we organized the production of microgreens for 3 retail chains in Croatia, Metro Cash and Carry, Spar, and Konzum. And we provided the complete service of developing, distributing, and organizing the production of exact quantities they need. And we are already selling it on the market. The complete VME is practically starting with the producer, going to the supplier, going to the logistics, going to the retail, and then we have food waste, of course, in many of cases. So we use this food waste to calculate the CO2 emission, because reducing the food waste, you get the biggest benefit of reducing CO2 emission. So until 2024, we are developing VME exchange, and one VME coin will be exact the kg save food or CO2 emission. So this is the company growth, and then this is how we are doing the circular economy. Until the end of the complete cycle, you have the CO2 emission. They will like to present it on the market and make the benefit of it. That is one of the stories of the VME, but we saw the opportunity when we say VME exchange or VME coin or something like that. There is lots of bad thoughts about the cryptocurrencies. So we said, okay, if we make a cryptocurrency that is connected to the real life, then you have the bad thing that you can always in crypto have big buyers that can dump your coin. It doesn't matter is it connected to the real company or not. It can go down, if you can see. Then we created another diagram of the company. So the first is food waste and the second is growing the trees. So practically we are making two diagrams of the company. First is real-time saving food connected to the blockchain technology, and the second is buying land and growing trees. Until on the end of the 2023, we already are planning to plant first trees that are going to be in Croatia. In the meantime, we are planning already to buying land in Europe and planting the trees. So it's all about sustainable coin, not only sustainable company, but sustainable coin that we can have it for another 50, 100, 150 years. So it's a long-term planning. This is the team behind it. So Ilya Juric is one of the guys from the team, but also he's a producer of microgreens. Tomislav Jakopovic, he's the guy who is developing complete Vimy from artificial intelligence that we already developed in 2019, and now we are going to work on the blockchain technology. Nikola, Michael as a marketing expert, Sandra also, and myself, who is in FMCG business for the last 13 years. And that's about it. So this is the earth that deserves to be taken care of, and we are doing the best we can do. So in the result, it's a short presentation, but the main thing was to present you the result in the last 4 to 5 years of working in the company.
So thank you very much, Marko. It was an interesting presentation indeed. And I can see that your team must be very interdisciplinary because you have very creative, you are very creative in business modeling. So
yeah.
Nice.
Thank you. It's a little bit different that everybody else is doing. We call it, I must say just one thing, because it was a short presentation, we call it green capitalism, because behind all of these great things, there has to be a profitable company. And for the 5 years that we are in the Vimy, it's a profitable company, and that's a good thing. It shows you that we can do great stuff and still make money, and money is something that you can do even greater stuff. So, yeah.
Yeah, good. Nice to hear from you.
Yeah.
Okay, do we have any questions? Not yet. You are not very brave today, but okay. So let's move to our next speaker. This is Mrs. Jasna Dovžan-Lesjak. She comes from Alpinia Group. It's a Slovenian tourist company with own facilities, hotel. She is an experienced marketing and sales professional with a demonstrated history of working in the retail industry. She's highly focused on results, strong skills. She has strong skills in market analysis, research, potential, and strategy. She is international full-time master. She has international full-time master in business administration degree, focused in marketing management. So Jasna, hello. Nice to see you. The floor is yours.
Thank you. First, I'd just like to apologize. My voice is a bit, how can I say, damaged. It's my birthday today.
But happy birthday.
Thank you. So I hope you will be able to hear me enough. I will start sharing my screen. Okay, thank you very much for having me. And thank you very much for this presentation. And to be able to present you our inspiring story of our company, Alpinia Group. For those of you who don't know us, we are an established company offering various accommodation options in Bohinj, which is located in the Slovenia, in the heart of Europe. Our story has begun in 2019 when we took over the apartments Tuba, located in one of the most beautiful parts of Bohinj, Ukans, which literally means at the end of the world. The second project was directed to renovation of apartments Triglav. Can you just go, a bit more slow, please? Apartments Triglav, and our next stop was Hotel Bohinj, formerly known also as Hotel Kompas. This was not all. We also have some further project ahead of us. The first one is reconstruction of Villa Mur, formerly known as Karađorđević Villa, and the other one is Hotel Zlatorog, which used to be a pride of Bohin's tourism. However, today I shall mostly focus on the case of Hotel Bohin, as this was our biggest project so far. The hotel was previously known as Compass, and on the previous slide you could see the old building, how it looked like. And you can tell from the photo that it's never been known for amazing style or architecture, but what it has always had was amazing location, being surrounded by the Julian Alps and being just next to the lake. As hotel is located in the Triglav National Park, we've decided not to tear it down, as this would have a really big impact on the nature. In spite of the higher investment, we've decided to renovate it. Having that said, you can see that today's version of the hotel is mostly covered in wood, and it has also become recognizable for its amazing style and sustainability features. However, all of this wasn't possible if it weren't for our investors, Juran and Damian. You can see them on the photos, who fell in love with Bohin way before the renovation was planned. When they were still kids, they were exploring Bohin together with their families, and they have created precious memories while exploring it. So driven by their passion, they made this bold decision to invest in this region, also in Hotel Bohin. So thankful to them, now we can heartily welcome you to our home, our nature, and its architectural wonder. So welcome to Hotel Bohin. We offer 62 rooms, on-site restaurant, conference room, vast garden with fire pit, and also a hidden club. As mentioned before, our hotel is located in Triglav National Park, which means that all our energies need to be lined up with sustainability. And this decision embodies the commitment from process of renovation and also to daily operations. By renovating the existing structure, we have reduced the need for extensive construction and materials, and thereby minimalizing waste generating. We have used mostly natural materials as wood, stones, recyclable felt. And what is also important, we have collaborated with local and national producers. Through innovative practices and conscious choices, we have ensured that Hotel Bohin is on the path to become an inspiration of the sustainable hospitality. However, this was just a start. Saying that, I would like to emphasize that we have incorporated solutions with a strong focus on minimalizing impact on the nature within the daily operations. Some of them are energy saving lamps, light controls, water conservation systems, and of course, waste sorting, focusing on food waste management, and of course, also collaborating with the local producers. This part is a bit more challenging, as now we have also added many different outside stakeholders from whom we have to set an example and also live by them. So one of those more visible examples to our guests are the welcome slippers, which you can see on the photo. And these are made from recyclable felt. Each pair is generated from 6 plastic bottles. And in 2021, approximately 41,000, a bit more, almost 42,000 bottles were recycled into the annual quantity of slippers. To imagine, that's what adds up to 1.4 of Mount Everest. Now moving on to the topic, why we are here today, that is food waste management. Our key focuses here are pretty straightforward. The first one is, of course, prevention, to prevent as much waste as possible, to reuse those waste that we do create, to reuse and recycle as much as possible, which adds up at the end, creating as little waste as possible. In order to be successful, as successful as you can, it has to go all the way from top down. Saying that management has to be an example for this kind of behavior to all of us, to the employees and also to guests. So we strive towards continuous education on all levels and also certification processes. For instance, in the previous year, we have gained the EU Eco-Label certificate and also green accommodation, but this is just a start. As a viable part is also a communication towards the guests and general public too. Meaning that you need to attract the audience who will appreciate their stay in our beautiful nature. This also applies to the restaurant where one of the most valuable wastes is being generated, that is food, of course. And in a world full of hungry people, it is important that we acknowledge the value of the food and to take necessary steps towards the minimalization of this waste. Of course, again, as much as we can. In Hotel Bohin, those who've been, you already know, we have one restaurant, a la carte restaurants, which also offers breakfast. And as mentioned before, a la carte lunch and dinner. So we can accommodate up to 140 people. And having that said, breakfast is one of the most important steps here. First, because it's the buffet, and the second one, because it's included in the price of the stay. So it's a service that is provided for all of the guests. And we get various guests from all different countries who have different food tastes and needs. And on the other side, we are here trying to provide the guests what they need, and again, at the same time, also work on the food waste prevention. So our first rule is simple: quality over quantity. We have made a selection of delicacies that are being served for breakfast. Not having it all, but what we have, it has to be of really good quality. Here, an important role play our local producers. They add up to approximately 1/3 of our food providers, and that way we also support local economy while also providing our guests a taste of local. What is also important is the communication, especially between the front desk team at the reception and also our F&B team. On daily basis, we run the communication on the number of the guests we have in the hotel or that we are expecting, and also counting how many of the guests have already eaten their breakfast and how many are still to come. So in order to not to provide too much food and then to put it to waste. However, in spite of all the measurements we take, unfortunately, there's always some food that cannot be preserved and used the following day. However, we don't, of course, throw it away. Instead, we either offer it to our employees in case of the meal, so they can enjoy the meal. And one of the good practices that we have is using some of the food, for example, fruits for the desserts. We have really good desserts that are made from the foods that was served for breakfast. And also we made local beverage, kompot, Slovensko, which is also certified as under the Bohinsko brand. So this part, this is about the breakfast buffet. Another challenge that we are tackling is a la carte lunch and dinner, where we focus mostly on local and seasonal taste. As with breakfast, here too, we are collaborating with local producers, also trying to arrange that they deliver the food in as little packaging as they can. And an important step here in food waste management in a la carte restaurant is the creation of the menu, of course. Our culinary team changes the menu 4 times per year in order to get as many local and seasonal ingredients as possible. In addition, they have also created the magic from the pieces of meat that usually the majority don't buy. However, they always create something amazing out of these parts, like from picanha. However, we also do regular inventory checkups, of course, the day that it's before the deadline. We usually use to prepare for lunch. We usually have two lunches per day for our employees. And some of the food is also reused for some parts of the dishes, for example, like vegetable stock. As for the guest part, we require the advanced bookings for the lunch and dinner. And in the case of hosting events, we require that the menus are chosen approximately 1 week in advance, together with the number of guests, of course. That way we can plan more accordingly how much food are we going to need. As mentioned before, it's not just food waste that we should focus on. We should tackle all these issues broader. That's on all possible perspectives that are of scarce resources. We should also take into the consideration water usage, energy consumption, usage of disposable plastics. And in the end, we should also focus on the local environment, the employees, where they come from, the producers, and of course their food. However, all of this needs to be communicated to guests through various communication channels. And as mentioned at the beginning, you should be the first one to do it. You should be an example for that, not just preaching, but also living it. In order not to talk just about the theory, we have looked into the numbers for 2021. We also have newer numbers, but we've changed some calculations. We've changed some measures because with food waste, it's really difficult because there's plenty of water, and when you start doing it organically, I think we started to change it. When you realize how much of it is water, then you have approximately one third of the food waste is bones. So we are now changing the measurements. However, in spite of the numbers for 2021, which for the beginning are optimistic, and this was completely done organically. Most of the things that we've done at the beginning was completely natural. We knew that what we wanted to achieve, but it was spontaneous. So in spite of this promising start, which was still at a pretty learning phase, there are still many steps that we need to take. So as we move forward, let us embrace the story as a catalyst for change. Let us seek opportunities to minimize waste, to conserve resources, to promote sustainable practices within our own lives and also through communities. We think that together we can create a future where beauty, both in the surroundings and our actions, let's say, remains for the generations to come. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Jasna. I'm really sorry that I was not so synchronized with you, but I think that message was clear. It's important message. You live these ideas, not only promote it and create the awareness, but you really live the idea. And this is very, good example. Thank you very much for joining us today. If there are some questions, I don't know. Anna, you cannot see the option to ask. Distinguishing between preventable and non-preventable food waste is essential. Yes, as Jasna said, they cannot do anything about the bones. Therefore, should those be included in the measurements of food loss and waste if there is nothing to be done to minimize this waste? Anna, you can ask directly. It will be easier for if I.
It was more of a comment because
recommendation. Okay.
Jasna made it very clear. They put every effort to minimize what can be minimized, but what can you do with the bones? You cannot do anything with them that will be to return value, so to speak. And you have to figure out how you can sustainably dispose those. But in terms of valorization, for example, and return in terms of minimizing the food loss and waste, this is simply unavoidable because no one can eat it. It cannot be turned into useful product afterwards.
Ashes to ashes, David Bowie sang. Okay.
Yeah. I mean, in a way, you can do something, and we are trying to do. We've lowered the portion sizes, which means also the waste is smaller. But at the end, you cannot prevent it. Like there will be no bones at this time. But yeah, thank you for.
Thank you. Okay, we are a little bit running our time. So the next and last but not least speaker is Shai Rilo from Robin Food. Hello, Shai.
Howdy, glad to be here.
Yeah, nice to have you. You also have something interesting to present. So Mr. Shai Rilo is co-founder and CEO of Robin Food NGO in Israel, and has dedicated the last 8 years to making the issue of food waste accessible and delicious through culinary and educational activities. This includes founding Israel's first social restaurant based on secured food. So Shai, the floor is yours. Do you have the presentation?
So it's been a fascinating session so far, and many different ways of tackling food waste and talking about it in various aspects. Robin Food has taken a somewhat unique angle to change the story of food waste. We can start from the why, of course, which we all know to a high degree, and we've talked about a lot today, that more than a third of the world's food is wasted, and that has a huge carbon footprint. Almost around 8 to 10% of the carbon emissions in the world can be traced to food waste. That means not only is it a huge challenge, but it's also an enormous opportunity to make change, and of course, economically as well. In Israel, while being a small country, we are one of the highest food waste contributors in terms of the rate of food waste, which equals to about 20 billion shekels a year, or around 5 billion euros. And food waste, of course, like in every place in the world, occurs at every step of the value chain. But similar to what's going on in many places in Europe, about half of the food waste is at the consumer level, meaning it has to do with us. It has to do with our awareness, our behavior, the way that we buy, we store, we cook, we serve, the way we share our food or don't share it. And all this means that we have in our individual lives and as a society, a huge leverage point to make a change. But it all depends on the way that we frame the issue and also the solution, which is to enjoy food rather than waste it. As you can see, it's such a huge opportunity that according to the drawdown table of solutions, an index regarding solutions for climate change, it's valued as number 1 on the list, highest equivalent CO2 that can be reduced by implementing it. More than wind turbines, much more than composting, of course. And yeah, it's just a huge, huge opportunity that we can definitely leverage. And that's why we're happy to be part of this conversation and of course of the Zero W Consortium as well. The way that we approach the issue of food waste is by engaging people in a positive and direct and experiential way. We rescue fruits and vegetables that would otherwise go to waste from farms, markets, shops, things that for aesthetic reasons, logistical reasons, or surplus would otherwise go to waste. A drop in the ocean in the amount of waste that there is in our city of Haifa or Israel or the world. But what we utilize it for is to create a message that is unignorable, basically. We're inviting people to enjoy food, and we, together with chefs and volunteers, we create an ever-changing menu depending on what we rescued. And kind of like a reality show, you have a little of this, a little of that, and a ton of something else. So everybody can come and enjoy in a public event, which started in that later social restaurant, and not only say how tasty, how delicious, how amazing, but also how was all this delicious food about to go to waste? And then the question that can be asked is, how can we change it? This is how we open the door to conversation, inviting people in through something that is tempting and understandable and accessible, and then giving them, after we've opened this door, the tools to address food waste in their own lives. This is the second step, basically, and we'll talk a little bit further about that. But this is the basic tenets of Robin Food. What started in 2015 with a little event in a falafel stand in Haifa grew not only to a series of large public events, almost like festivals, where each person not only experiences and enjoys, but also pays as they feel. They decide the value of the experience and the meal and everything else, and the value that they want to contribute in return. And even if they don't have a single shekel or euro, they still have a value to give with their time and skills, and to join our community of volunteers, meaning that any kind of person can take part. And we have a wide variety of volunteers taking part in the project. But not only did that, but people started to ask and invite us to provide the Robin Food experience to them in various ways, which is another kind of food waste valorization, but it falls under the service aspect more than the product aspect. Lectures, workshops, cooking contests, which give people themselves the opportunity to have the Robin Food Challenge. Let's see you use what we have in the most creative, delicious, and amazing way possible, and take this principle back into your own lives and kitchens. Catering, which we've done all around the country, and even in Rome in the UN, we were invited last year to cater to the World Food Program to show them the Robin Food way, collaborating with a local organization. All of these enable us to reach a very wide audience, whether it be schools and universities, municipalities, governmental agencies, or high-tech companies, whoever is interested in some aspect of the Robin Food experience, getting some value that they would be looking for anyway, for example, catering, but with the added Robin Food value of our special message and way of doing things. We also opened, as mentioned, Israel's first food rescue restaurant based on these principles of food rescue and pay as you feel. We took over an old butcher shop and turned it into a delicious, sustainable vegan restaurant run by volunteers. The poetic justice was immense, and also it was a building that was about to be destroyed and rebuilt, and so we could use that, prevent the waste of that space as well. We closed it in 2020, where the coronavirus also accelerated our exit of there, but right now the building has already been destroyed. And of course, like everybody, we went into the virtual space. We went to Zoom, not only with lectures and workshops, but we even recorded a 5-part cooking show, giving people the tools to address food waste in their own lives, with chapters, with episodes with names such as The Secret to Life is Preservation in Jars, a celebration of soft tomatoes and dry bread, yesterday's leftovers as a feast, etc., etc. Not only giving specific, ideas and recipes, but also principles which we can implement in our own lives in a much more flexible way. And this cooking show has evolved into something even more interesting, which I will mention in a bit. But also on the other aspect, not only do we want to give people tools to address food waste in their own lives and to become Robin Food heroes and food rescuers without even leaving their kitchen. And this is our way, basically, we rescue food to help others rescue the unrescuable food which exists in their homes. You can't bring a truck or a car and pick up people's surplus or waste, right? You want to give them the way to prevent that food waste in their own life. And the way we do that is with raising awareness and changing behavior. And another tool that we've added to our belt, to our array of tools, is acknowledging that even if we give all these services and this mindset and recipes and whatever, there will still be surplus in people's homes. We want to at least give them a way to share their spare. And so we've recently launched a community of food sharing communities, like a group of groups, basically, where split up by time, different zones, people can share it with neighbors in their neighborhood, increase food security, reduce food waste, and strengthen the community altogether. And we hope to implement that nationwide with further collaborations with municipalities and other organizations, also perhaps with some extra technological tools to boost it. I think I see a question. No problem. And so, and also another thing to physically manifest the principle of food sharing is a community fridge. We launched Haifa's first community fridge last year, where people can not only share their spare, whether it's businesses or individuals, but and we had a huge party to celebrate it with chefs, with a cutting of a ribbon, and the most respect you could possibly give to a fridge. And this is another way that even if you don't necessarily use it every day, but the very fact there's something in the physical space which manifests the idea of food is being wasted, let's enjoy it rather than waste it, means that perhaps next time before you go out to a walk with your dog, you perhaps will think, oh, I'm about to go on a trip this weekend. Maybe I will bring my spare here instead of letting it waste away in my fridge. And of course, as mentioned before, as Anna George explained earlier, we are very proud to be part of the Zero Consortium, a group of 46 amazing organizations of all levels, dealing with all levels of the value chain, helping to reduce food waste. We are trying to bring the Robin Food flavor, the Robin Food mindset, and the tools that we have developed and are developing into this framework to help spread the message well and create great connections and collaborations in the Robin Food fashion. And a wonderful thing that kind of is sitting at the edge of all of these things together is what we've been working on for the past year and so, which really takes this third step. The first step would be raising awareness, opening the door through these experiences that we have. The second step would be giving people the tools to reduce food waste in their own lives, but understanding that that is not enough. Information and awareness are absolutely necessary, but it does not mean that behavior will necessarily be changed. And so we've developed, together with a team of experts in the field of waste and in the field of behavioral economics, something called the Robin Food Challenge, which helps to create habits for life, to create these tools in a way that we've already implemented them. It starts with watching our amazing cooking show as the first step to learning, but also liaisoning, going with people, holding their hands, so to speak, for a month-long period, together with chefs and other consultants, you could say, who are basically on a chef hotline, giving people answers to whatever questions they may have about buying, storing, cooking, serving, and also understanding that an anchor in people's routine is very, very necessary. The day that they all go shopping, or most of them, instead of having, let's say, a meatless Monday, we have a wasteless Wednesday, where you are basically challenged yourself with the Robin Food Challenge, looking what you have and trying to make the most of it, and exploring perhaps uncharted territory in your life and in your kitchen using what you have, but having a chef to hold your hand, so to speak, and to help you psychologically get out of your comfort zone and learn new things and build new habits. This also includes measurement of the actual food waste. Participants measure what they waste every day in a way that also helps them to reflect on what's going on with them and learn differently how to store and buy and all these kind of things, but also helps us to understand the impact of such a project. Basically, we can measure the food waste reduction over time, and we could, of course, translate that to carbon, money, or anything else. We've been piloting this on a very low-tech level, and it's already yielded some fantastic things that we can build the next step upon. And we hope to also implement a smart technological tool to help make this more effective, measurable, and of course, scalable, because we want to see this in as many households as possible in Israel, and of course, worldwide, EU-wide. We think it's something that's applicable to various places, especially where, like most of Europe, the household level is the largest sector of food waste across the value chain. But the thing that connects...
I'm really sorry, but we have to finish now.
No problem. This is the last one.
Okay, good.
All I'm about to say here with this funny analogy is that we have something heavy that we're trying to pass on to people. But if we capture it well and pass it on in the right way, it can be amazing and relevant and delicious. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I would ask many questions, but first of all, congrats on your name. Robin Food is very unique and very matches your idea. And also congrats for your enthusiasm. I will ask you via email if needed. So Tierna, I will give you the floor now so you can finish our workshop.
Yes, thank you, Daria. Okay. So for now, I would like to summarize what we heard today. So we learned a lot. First, we discussed about the challenges to upcycle side streams into new food ingredients or materials for cosmetics. For example, by use of enzymes, bacteria, yeast, or even algae. And after that, we had some presentations more about reduction of food waste. And what I understood is that also the end of the food supply chain is very important and increasing the awareness of the consumer too. So for example, that can be done by the traceability of these side streams, but also how you can apply this in a touristic accommodation that is very aware of the impact that food loss and waste has on nature around it, or even use it in a restaurant setting, also to engage the consumer and also inform the consumer. So I hope you all enjoyed the presentations of the speakers today and are inspired to also apply this in your food company. So for now, I would like to continue with a few of our upcoming events. So what's very important is that on later this year, the end of October, start of November, we will have another international mission to Singapore. And we will organize different activities during the Singapore International Agri-Food Week. And during this week, you can participate in company visits, but also in exhibition. There will be pitching opportunities and matchmaking. And you can apply for travel vouchers if you're a European SME and interested to participate, which will take place from the 5th of June till the 25th. Additionally, we have a few online activities taking place. So the workshop on fermentation, also one on food packaging to reduce waste streams, and on urban farming. Then I would like to point out one of our South Korean partners, Food Polis, who will organize an international conference on the 24th of May. Actually, it will be the 13th conference they will organize, and it will take place both online and on site. It's still possible to register for this event via the link mentioned in this slide. And you can also join their innovation tours when you will be there. The session is called The Big Blur, and it represents collaboration and cooperation between industries and countries. So please, if you have any questions on this, contact our contact point, Seon-Young Park. I believe her contact details are also in the chat. Then I would like to round off with pointing out the matchmaking activities that will take place throughout the year. You can log in on the Global Future community platform. Currently, there are already over 650 participants in the platform. And there you can schedule your one-on-one matchmaking sessions or create a marketplace profile to mention what you're specifically looking for. So with that, I would like to round off today's session. Thank you very much for your attention, and I hope to see you again at one of our next events. Goodbye.